Welcome back to ciLiving. By using fresh, locally roasted coffee, Nitro Cup looks to serve cold brew that's different than your regular hot pot of coffee. Joining me now is owner Grant Garland. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so tell me a little bit about what is unique about Nitro Cup.
Well, it's the smoothest, most drinkable cup of coffee out there. Yeah, I would stand by that.
And Nitro Cold Brew is a little bit different than obviously regular coffee, but definitely different than just straight up cold brew. So what does that process look like?
So I'm cold brewing coffee and putting it into kegs and infusing it with nitrogen, which is, it's kind of like carbonating something, but instead of big bubbles that pop, they're like little bubbles that coat your tongue and make a smooth, like cascading, creamy mouthfeel.
Yeah, and that smooth, cascading mouthfeel, I think, is really kind of what sets Nitro apart. But then even within that, some Nitro is more bitter, and some is really sweet, and some is, just sort of mild. How is that impacted? Is that from the brewing process? What causes that?
Well, I use a very specific blend of coffee. That, like we said, is locally roasted here. I'm the roaster at Columbia Street, and I have access to a wide variety of coffees. So there's just a little bit of everything in my blend. I've got a dark roast in there. I have Indonesian and African coffees that create complexity, but also a very familiar. I've had people tell me that my coffee tastes like coffee smells. So
okay.
If you ever smell coffee and then you taste it and it's like, it's like as a kid when you have your first cup of coffee, it's like, whoa.
Right.
This is like the ideal first sip of coffee, I think.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Nitro in general just because of like how it comes out of the tap and things like that. Do you want to sort of give us a little demo of
Sure.
of what all that looks like? I also love that this is like sort of coffee on a bike.
Yes, it was all about convenience was kind of the goal of Nitro Cup from the start. Anytime you want a really good cup of coffee, you kind of have to go through a lot of hoops to get there, whether it's like, especially with hot coffee. When you're brewing hot coffee, you got to worry about the temperature of the water, grind size. This was sort of a way to cut it all out and just pour it from the tap and enjoy it, basically. Because, who has time every morning to really make everything perfect? Mm-hmm. I certainly don't. I got a lot going on in my life.
Of course, yeah. And I feel like you can almost even see the texture in that because it has all sort of the foam on the top and then it's just straight down. So the foam at the top, is that all being caused by the Nitro? Because there's no cream or anything.
There's no creamer,
right?
It's just black coffee. That's kind of my shtick. It's like making black coffee drinkable for everybody. I have a lot of skeptical people, obviously, but it looks so inviting that people are usually willing to give it a try at least.
Right.
And then, as I said, the fresh roasted coffee specific blend that I have made, it usually lands, and I have people returning all the time.
Yeah, so I'm going to taste that in a minute, but looking at this photo that we're on right now, where is that picture taken?
That was a Delight Flower Farm for their spring sale. Not this year, I think that was 2 years ago.
Okay, so where can we generally, if somebody wants to try Nitro Cup, where can they find you?
I sell exclusively at the Urbana Farmers Market right now. It's like the demand for this stuff is pretty high.
Okay.
It's a little bit of like a scarcity thing, I think.
Right, it makes you more in demand.
Yes.
So how long does it take you to brew a batch of Nitro, and then like about how long does that last?
So that's the main difference between a hot brew and a cold brew is the extended brew time. So I brew for 24 hours in a bucket. Fully submerge the grounds, and then, like a hot coffee obviously takes 4 minutes to brew.
Right.
But when you're trying to extract flavor from coffee. It's the most complex thing out there flavor-wise. There's so many flavor compounds in coffee, but they all require different amounts of energy, basically, to extract. So if you do a hot brew, you get a lot of those volatile flavor compounds that are like more bitter, sometimes floral. Those get extracted very easily. But when you do cold brew, you get more, I guess, different flavor compounds. And it creates a more, it's kind of hard to explain, but we can try tasting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I'm about to take a sip of this. I wanna see. Okay, so you gotta get the smell, because you said yours tastes like what coffee smells like, right?
Yes.
Which we'll see.
Actually, better put one for myself as well.
I was gonna say, you better have a cup of that, because this is delicious. The texture is great, the foam on the top, and then it's ice cold, and it's just very mild. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's so good. Well, thank you so much for being here and explaining that whole process to us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for trying it. Come see me at the farmer's market, please.
Absolutely. Well, content segments today during ciLiving were paid for by Rop's Flour Factory. And then coming up tomorrow on ciLiving, 40 North is going to give you a sneak preview of their Summer's Friday Night Live music series. The library in Clinton will be here with some book recommendations and a surprise, as well as prizes from their summer reading program. Plus, you can learn how to make a no-mess pet with Strawberry Void Crochet. All of that and more coming your way tomorrow on ciLiving. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at 3 p.m.